Is that IRS wage levy, as it continues, killing you? It just may be. But fear not. It's never too late to have an IRS wage levy removed. Never. IRS wage levies are huge burdens. That's because they remain in effect for as long as your IRS delinquency continues or until the levy is actually released by the IRS. Now, we've seen situations where taxpayers weren't able to address the IRS wage levy on their own for more than a year. And that happened even when everybody, including the IRS, knew that the taxpayer didn't have the capacity to pay basic bills, and where the taxpayer was left financially shattered because of it. Still, when we asked those taxpayers why he or she didn't address the IRS levy, they just simply indicated that they couldn't deal with it psychologically. Worse yet, when we questioned why the IRS allowed those wage levies to remain in place, knowing that the harm to the taxpayer and the family was clear, some of those IRS representatives responded that they just thought, well, the taxpayers wanted it that way, so nobody took any action at all to protect them. That's terrible. The only thing you need to address with respect to an existing levy is your own confidence, because you can address it, and Digital Tax Attorney gives you that opportunity and that confidence. All you have to do is provide your financial information to the IRS and tell the IRS what is happening to you. If you're living in financial distress, tell the IRS about it, and tell them about it now rather than wait. If that IRS wage levy causes you to live in financial distress, ask that your distress be acknowledged by it. Ask that the levy be immediately released based on your financial distress, and ask that you be determined to be, as they say, currently not collectible. Our Digital Tax Attorney set CNC, which means currently not collectible, addresses that need. If your financial distress is short-lived and you can see the end, in other words, there is light at the end of the tunnel, ask the IRS to put collection on your account on hold. But get that levy released so you don't add to the stress and the distress of what you're going through. You could also reach an agreement to make modest monthly installment payments toward your liability. But quite frankly, virtually anything is better than having to live underneath the oppressive burden of an IRS wage levy. And if you're oppressed, imagine what your family feels like. For most folks, the distress being what it is, having the IRS determine that you are currently not collectible is appropriate. And such is the case where your income is temporarily or significantly interrupted, or where it is clear that you simply won't have enough to meet your expenses on a continuing basis. Take a look at our fact setting and compare yourself to our facts. During the time that you're currently not collectible, the IRS will not pursue enforced collection. In other words, it won't levy. It won't issue any more levies. It's not uncommon for the IRS to set a date by which you'd have to reestablish that you're still, at that time, currently not collectible. But in any case, in the meantime, you can live free of the stress and the threats. RDTA, Digital Tax Attorney Set, CNC, currently not collectible, addresses all those issues. Wage levies are continuing in nature, and your employer doesn't have the opportunity to choose or not to choose whether they're going to pay over your net pay. And yes, there are limits as to how much money from each check an employer has to withhold. In other words, some money needs to be paid to you under the law. But when you compare how little that is, you know you're not going to make your bills. If you have a continuing levy in place, address it immediately. Ask for your IRS transcripts. Learn the detail of how your delinquency has been addressed. Look to see whether the IRS levy is legal. Look to see whether the notices that the IRS should have given to you were actually given to you. That information is in your transcript. Because we have seen situations where long existing wage levies issued by the IRS were in fact illegal. In fact, had to be removed immediately once it was brought to the IRS's attention. And if that doesn't relieve the stress in an immediate way, I don't know what does. Deal with these continuing levies now. And if you've had a levy that has been in place for more than two, not three, two payroll periods, you know that it has to be addressed immediately. Thank you.